All right.
Okay, I'm gonna start at 40%, the lowest setting. So I would guess this is more for flying around if you had the camera on it. So that's as much angle as I can give it in any direction, which is really not much, especially in this wind. And that's 40%. So I'm going to set it down. I'm going to put it to 100%, and then it'll fly with a little more attitude. So you can definitely move it around quite a bit more. It's so light though that the wind just grabs it. Let's do some of the pre-programmed flips. Flips pretty quickly. If you hold the stick, it'll continue to flip in that direction. So that's an interesting feature, considering that this should have a camera mount underneath of it. We can try the headless mode. So I'll yaw, face it to the right, or left, I'm sorry. I'll turn on headless mode. You can hear that it's on now. Now I pull back on the stick and it comes back towards me. So it's still facing left, I pull back on the stick, it comes right back towards me. So that'll be really good for beginners to get too far out or lose control or lose orientation. And it beeps the whole time while headless mode's on. So I'll turn that on, and it's back to normal. And I figure I can try to have some fun and do a manual flip, try to force it over. That's how I actually ran into myself the other day with it, but we won't talk about that. I'll try to get a little lower. The wind is really pushing it around. This is really stay out of the wind. I messed this up really bad yesterday and hit myself. So the wind, at least the wind is like 10-15 miles an hour, and it's color sounds good, so it's really fighting the wind. About 10-15 miles an hour, you really need no wind with this thing. It's really struggling. So anyways, not bad, decent power, even though it's brushed motors, little brushed motors flying these big props. Not too shabby. The LEDs are really hard to see during the daytime. You can kind of see some color there.
It's a great learner.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
good.
It's like flying a giant Hubsan X4. It'll be really good just to learn and practice outside. So, I don't know if you can see a close-up of the controller with it on. When props are spinning, they spin on the controller as well. You can pick your 40, 60, or 100%. Then you have the indicator for if the LED on top is on or off. And then your two camera function buttons, which don't work because there's no camera. Anyways, that's it. Not too shabby. Now I'm going to fly some FPV and crash into some trees. Okay, final thoughts on the Tarantula X6 from Gearbest RC. I guess I'll start with the radio. It is kind of small in your hands. It's not too bad if you're a beginner and you're not used to a bigger radio. The button placements for the percentage of power and flip control is kind of awkward, since you tend to want to use your pointer finger. So you'd have to take it off the stick to use the button and then flip. A little bit awkward, but not too bad. The headless mode Works pretty good. I took it out pretty far away from me a couple times, spun it around, faced a different direction, turned on headless mode, and was able to pull the right stick back and bring it right back towards me. So that works pretty well. Very good for beginners. Overall, I think that this is basically a giant version of the Hubsan X4 in the way that it flies, just with an added feature or two, which would be the headless mode and the control of the LED light on top via this button, and then your optional camera, which you'd be able to use from the controller as well. Parts obviously aren't going to be as plentiful on this as some other models. They are available through the website, but they aren't just off-the-shelf parts that you could get from any other place. So I'd be very careful with this thing when flying. It would be very good for somebody to learn orientation flying via line of sight outdoors without too much wind, since it is very, very light, much lighter than my ZMR 250, even without FPV gear. The prop protectors work fairly well. I had a flub and actually hit myself trying to force a manual flip on this, so they do work and they do hold up pretty well. The landing gear could be a little more stiff. Many times when I was landing while I was flying this thing, it would tip forward or back or to the side, which wasn't a big deal. It seemed to handle it just fine. Overall, not too bad. I dislike the lack of a manual mode, since I like to fly and race FPV, so I do like having a manual mode option. But this is pretty decent for a beginner looking to learn the controls, learn orientation, do some light flying, nothing aggressive, and learn orientation. I think this would work pretty nice in a field with low wind to practice figure eights, going around objects, that kind of thing. So overall, for the price, not too bad. Would have liked to try out the version with the camera to see what kind of shots I could get in the lower power settings, where it doesn't allow you to tilt as far in any direction. I'm sure it would have gotten some pretty decent shots. So not bad, not the best obviously. Good option for a beginner who doesn't want to drop $200 or $300 into a basic quad build to learn, and obviously much bigger than something like a Hubsan that you could learn orientation outside with. So Gearbest.com, Tarantula X6, you can check it out there. They also have spare parts there as well. I'd recommend picking up an extra battery or two if you get this, and that would probably be it. Alright, thanks guys.